So it should,
Says,
and it should be now live.
I'm check here. Hopefully
Okay.
everyone can see us here. I'm on your channel. Oh, it's going. It's
welcome to our what's being a video with bold. How you do it? Bold
bald
metal
noid.
nerd.
Yeah. I want to start off.
I'm not sure about metal, but at least I'm nerd.
Well, I've been into metal since I was a really young lad. I was 11 years old when I kind of fell into it. But before I go on, I'm gonna say, hey, soon Hoofapaiva. How was that?
What? Hey, what?
Hey, I said, hey, soon Hoofapaiva. According to Google Translate, that means hello. It's a good day. According to Google Translate, hey, soon Hoofapaiva. That's my attempt at. I'm gonna listen to it. Make sure. Yeah. Hey, soon Hoofapaiva. Was that remotely accurate or no?
I would say just hey, hyvää päivää, or hey, son, hyvää päivää.
Well, that's Google Translate for you. I think I'll skip. I'll since I didn't do so well on that one. I'm just gonna.
Don't worry. I'm always interested when someone who hasn't learned to speak Finnish, when he speaks Finnish. That's always nice to hear. I have been learning English from third grade, and my pronouncing is still, but it is.
Well, you're certainly. I would say your English skills are what's the word I'm looking for? Good enough, for lack of a better term, because obviously I can understand you just fine. We're talking just fine. All of the YouTube community can understand you, so I'd say your English skills are definitely adequate enough.
I would say I have survived it with different countries, and I haven't died for like having enough food or place to sleep. So that's good enough for me.
Exactly. So let's.
Or were you going to say something in Finnish first?
No, gosh, no. I'm done with Finnish. I was going to say, let's go ahead and get into the main topic at hand here. Yes. So
what have you been? I have here a couple of CDs that I have been listening on 3 days or on 2 days, something like that.
Right. Well, I actually, because I knew we were doing this talk, I listened to 2 albums last night specifically. Continuing the Finnish theme that we're on a little bit here. I listened to this one last night, Apocalyptica's first album here, and this is obviously how they gained some notoriety by doing Metallica covers with 4 cellos, right? That's obviously not primarily what they do. They do. They obviously do much more original compositions now, and I enjoy both of those styles. Right, I do enjoy their original music as well, obviously, but that's definitely clearly was the hook. And I remember getting that album because it came out in '96. So I would have been still in high school at that point. And I remember, I think I was with my parents. It's there was a chain store back then. I think it's been out of business for at least 10 years now. It's a nationwide electronics store that sold a lot of CDs and stuff called Circuit City, and that's where I actually got this thing back then, and I still got it now. I mean, I bought this back in 1996. So.
I love that album also, but also other albums that they have made. And about that band, I have to say that I have seen them a couple of times. I have seen a gig where they played also, like, I think there was someone singing. Yeah, there was Tony Kakko from Sonata Arctica singing with them.
Oh, cool.
Or have I seen them 3 times? I'm not sure right now. At least I remember quickly 2 times seen. But last time I saw them, they were doing a gig that they played only Metallica songs, and it was amazing. No singing, just music, and it was great. And another thing that I have to say about that band, of course, they are really good cello playing players. They have been playing on the records. But one big thing also when you see them live is often how it is mixed. They have a really good like guy who's doing the mixing live.
Nice. Yeah, because sometimes with live shows, some shows you go to sound absolutely amazing, and then other shows you go to, you're like, what is this? And you're like, man, it sounds better on my stereo at home. So
Yeah,
it's just how it goes.
I have one band that I like more, Amorphis. My wife kind of started like also, and I was like, yes, let's go to see them live. And the sound, I have seen their live gig. It was just the place was so awful. It felt that there was just really noisy, and volume was just too high, and my wife was also like this there.
Well,
yeah.
I don't go to a concert now without earplugs. I have a slight case of tinnitus, so any live show I go to, I'm always popping in earplugs. It doesn't matter what it is. Heck, I even pop in the earplugs when I cut the grass outside, because of the lawnmower and all that. So I got the tinnitus by going to, I don't know how many concerts, not that many really, probably under 20 concerts when I was, in my teens and early 20s. I would just go without earplugs, right? And what that eventually did after however many concerts, that eventually just gave me permanent tinnitus. Thankfully, it's very controllable. It's minor. If there's really any noise in a room at all, I don't hear it. But if I'm in a totally quiet room, I hear it. So I always have to sleep with a fan on at night now. I can't sleep in silence. But it's not too bad.
I don't have that, but I think it must be having some live gigs that I have destroyed. I don't remember actually. Was it my left or right ears? Like really low sound. I don't hear so well, but I haven't noticed it before I went to doctor. So it's so low that it doesn't bother. But one thing I have listened now just today is this one.
Nice.
James Bond greatest hits, and we have been watching this old James Bonds with my wife now, and
I'll tell you that theme is so iconic. I think almost everybody knows it. I mean, it's one of those universally, I'd say loved because it really is great. It's really energetic. It sets a certain mood. You know exactly what it is. It's actually fantastic piece. And then there's the chase. I mean, and there's not just the theme, but like the chase. I mean, there's like all of this music.
Yes,
that's so associated with James Bond, and everybody knows it.
When we got to the movie Live and Let Die, I was thinking, oh, they are using that theme so well on this movie because it comes a little bit different played on the middle of the song. Just not the like in the beginning and the end.
Right.
it's it's it has some awesome music, I think, and with great singers. When you think that there has been Louis Armstrong, Nancy Sinatra, Paul McCartney, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they got heck of a. I'll tell you what, all those singers, their voices are so. There's no one who really sings in that style anymore, you know? I mean, there are obviously some pretty excellent singers nowadays still, but those type of vocalists don't really exist much anymore. I mean, because everything with modern pop music, it's so processed, for lack of a better term. It's so loud that for lack of a better term, that type of soulful voice really doesn't register now. But just to move on to something where
I have to add about that. There has been like some like Amy Winehouse. I love how it was done, and what is called the lady singer who has named album like 21.
Is that Adele? I think.
Adele, yes, yeah. I love that how she's doing that. It's not as produced as
right.
Of course, it's produced, but not. It doesn't sound as computer produced.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all the computer music really started in the 80s, heavily. Well, I guess maybe slightly before that with disco, kind of. But it really seemed to, like with new wave in the 80s, is really, I would say, was the main genesis of that type of sound. And it's good and bad. I mean, there are some artists that, utilize it in an excellent way. Some of my favorite music is like Depeche Mode is an example of a pop act that I really like. That's very computerized, but of course, when all music kind of sounds like that, it makes it much more generic than what it would be. Because actually, a couple of years ago, I made a video about music in different cultures. Like I was trying to listen specifically to non-Western music, right? So like I searched for popular African music in Middle East, Indian, all these things, right? And very sadly, all of the modern music that's coming out of those parts of the world, they all sound like modern pop music, right? They have the same auto-tuned processed vocals. It basically is like just turning on a generic pop song, but just insert a different language into it instead of English, right? It's just sung in some other language. And I was so disappointed because I was like, it's really sad that, culture has become that homogenized, that we just have one thing. It was so disappointing, but I mean, I was able to then listen to, quote, traditional music from this. And of course that all sounded vastly different from each other. So that was nice, but all the modern music all just sounded like what we were talking about. And it's kind of like, man, that's sad. So the next thing that I listened to this yesterday as well, again, and you had mentioned this band Amorphous. Yeah. This is this is my favorite album by them, actually. It's Under the Red Cloud. Under the Red Cloud. And I was listening to this, and Amorphous is a band that has changed tremendously over the years. They started out as a pure death metal band, right? And kind of slowly over time added more melodies, more folk elements. And I was listening to this last night, and the variety on this album is pretty incredible, actually. Like the first song, the title track, it just starts off and it sounds much more folkish, and then and mostly clean singing, a few little deathish growls in there. But then the second track is mostly death metal. So they go all sorts of places on this album, and it's really cool. And it's incredibly well produced. The sound on it, whoever produced this did an awesome job with it. I love the heck out of this. It sounded absolutely great.
I'm not saying anything who has produced that because I might get it wrong, but
was
I
there a
would
name?
guess the well, I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
I would get maybe wrong.
We'd have to Google it to get it right.
But that I think about singing producing has been for him at least a couple of records. Marko Hietala, do I remember right now? The bass player of Nightwish.
Oh, is that who's doing it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, for singing producing, for vocal producing, but if I remember right.
So I'm sorry. I was thinking about Amorphous specifically, and then how they related to other bands like In Flames, and At the Gates. Bands like that, right? They're all kind of in a similar vein. And then I was thinking about the innovations that have happened in rock, not just metal, but rock as well. And I was thinking about the Euro scene versus the North American scene, right? And as an American, and I'll just, we're very, because of the way the US versus Europe is, like, obviously, basically, the continental US is more or less the size of Europe, right? So for us, it's kind of all just like one. So for us, it's tough to differentiate between Sweden, Denmark, a lot of it. And really for us, the only thing we really ever separate out in our minds over here is like the UK. And I think the only reason for that is because, we started off as the 13 colonies, blah, 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 hundreds of years ago. I think that's the main reason why. So, but what I've noticed, some of the main differences between the two scenes is the US will develop some form of music first, be rock or hard rock or whatever. And then obviously we have this great cross-pollination of cultures, right? And then what'll happen over in Europe is they'll hear it and they'll basically, in some ways, vastly improve on it. Especially with death metal, they make it much more melodic. Like they'll add complexity to it, much more melody than anything that we do. And I thought about why that is, and I think the reason for that is, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think it's because in Europe, you guys have a closer relationship with like classical culture, right? Like the great composers of antiquity, like Mozart, Beethoven. Vivaldi, those guys, right? That's much closer to what you guys. Whereas, with us, it just started over. With us, it's like we just started over, in our culture over here was focused on quote simpler music, right? Starting with like jazz and the blues, and then and all of those things are all great, but they're simpler than the styles of music that I was just talking about. Just a theory.
Yes, but it's also this is fun case also that I think kind of roots for metal was, of course, there was Cream from UK and
Black Sabbath, of course.
Sabbath, and it was taken to USA and it went to harder. Of course, there was punk scene also from UK again, and then it was developing also in USA same time, and there was this kind of moving back there and back. and so it's been moving around. It's different side of the world, so it's understandable. Of course, it takes some influences from countries and cultures, like like you said, Amorphis, and they are singing from Kalevala, which is our old epos, old mm, poems that are used by them, and so that's why I guess because back then was really this tape trading was really and Amorphis was part of that also. I, I would I would say so. Maybe some other bands that saw that also that it's possible to do. It doesn't have to be only singing only about like political things
Right.
or Satan.
What's interesting is I didn't get involved with tape trading till right before the MP3 era, right?
Hmm.
Um, I back in the early to mid '90s, right before file sharing exploded, right? That's I was on some Usenet groups back in the day. And do you remember Usenet by any chance?
Do I what?
Usenet. Do you remember Usenet news groups? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Basically, what Usenet news groups were is they were the prehistoric version of what we think of as forums nowadays, right? They were basically text only. Okay.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
you would post messages. It
Okay.
wasn't a
Yeah. Yeah.
website yet. You had to have a special client reader to even get to the things. It didn't work over like a web browser.
Yeah. And you said that there's something that I would like to, this kind of download, and you got it.
Yeah, binaries. They're a binary group
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Those were the only ones that nobody really posts
Mm,
discussions anymore. But back in those days, people still regularly spoke, and I made a couple of friends on Usenet back in the day, and we would
mm,
actually tape trade back and forth. We'd mail each other tapes,
yeah.
and that was a lot of fun. Um,
I did.
I definitely remember buying some. I mean, we trade all kinds of stuff. It
Mm,
was great.
I didn't have the computer back then, but my
Oh,
friend
okay.
had, and with him we got. Uh, in Finland, we had this computer magazine, and it has own group that was you were able to go there and download some things.
Yeah,
But
we
hey,
were. Oh, sorry. Go
there
ahead.
there is also another Finnish now watching us, Jesse Korhonen, and he said, "Our Fish is great band. My favorites are maybe Tales from Thousand Lakes and Tuonela." And I have to say, my one of my favorites is also my favorite is Tales from Thousand Lakes, but I love the new stuff because the singer is so awesome. Uh, I prefer more this new singer. New singer, he has been singing there 15 years or something like that, but still he's a new one, and he's awesome because he's really good with clean and growling vocals, and also different kind of growling vocals. Especially if you listen, he's singing also in death doom band called Hallatara. Well, it was kind of more like project, uh, but they made also live gigs, couple, at least some of, and there is really nice to hear him doing little bit different style than in a normally in Amorphis. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I will go.
yep, yeah.
Or did you have something to
No, I
say?
was waiting for you to go show your next thing.
Yeah. This is idols. You was telling about pop singers, and this is idol. I think I don't remember was he winner or did he come on second or something? he was on top 3. But as you can see, he wasn't so basic pop singer. He was more like metal music.
Yeah, he
And
definitely looks like a rock guy for sure.
yeah, well, and I guess he liked also Ozzy Osbourne. But this is his first album, and this is fun when you look at who's been doing songs. There's Janne Joutseniemi, who's been in a Finnish speed metal band called Stone. You would like them, maybe. And there's Timo Tolkki from Stratovarius, Marko Hiatala, I mentioned already him. He's nowadays in Nightwish, but before that he was in Tarot, which was a Finnish power metal band. And what else? Jarkko Ahola, who's from Teräspetoni, which is Finnish version from Manovar. Gilibek liked Teräspetoni. So there's really good songwriters on this album, and well, for Idol winner, this is quite good.
Yeah. Now now Idol was that because there's so many versions of Idol. I'm assuming that's not American Idol. I'm assuming that's a different version, right?
Finnish Idols. Finnish
Okay.
Idol. I don't remember how often it was. They had it.
Yeah, I don't ever watch any of those shows myself. I can't do it. I can't do reality TV. It's not entertaining to me. I like scripted shows, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I liked, especially when it was first time, the Finnish Idol. I liked how they were using music and how it was edited and some other things. The not so fun thing is that they always make laugh at somebody because they bring there someone who aren't able to sing at all.
I almost have to wonder why those people like decide to make fools out of themselves on television. Like, I can't sing at all, and I would never imagine going on a show like that and making a complete idiot out of myself in front of millions of people because you have to know you can't. I mean, how can you hear yourself and not know you sound terrible? Yeah. So, I mean, whatever.
Maybe they are thinking that they know how to sing, because I have seen those kind of people also. They think they can sing even though they can't.
Yeah.
Because even sometimes people, when you hear yourself in here, it's not the same that comes here.
Right. Well, I mean, if you ever want to be remotely, quote, serious about singing, right, record yourself, right? Like, you would think that you would have the forethought to record yourself. That way you can hear what you actually sound like. And if you can do that, then you listen to it and you're like, it's bad. Like, cause I, just for fun, I've recorded myself singing a few times and it sounds like cats being strangled, or something. So, I would never think to myself, oh, this is going to be, something that other people are going to want to hear. It's like, no, nobody's going to want to hear this ever. so I don't know why those people wouldn't just, get a microphone, sing into it, then listen to it and see how they sound. You would think, but I guess that escapes some people.
And one phrase that have stuck into my mind from Finnish Idol was that someone who wasn't so good a singer and it didn't go so well, and afterwards he was asked by the people there on TV that what you think, why it went like that, and he or she said that I don't know. At home, I got some pretty good points on a PlayStation 2 SingStar. So yeah, but in Finland, it's also with those competition on TVs that there's also at least a couple of metal singers.
That's good. Here they just don't do that here.
Yeah.
And I think the reason they do that over there is Finland's the heavy metal capital of the world, so it's kind of it's harder for them to ignore that in Finland than it is here, because here we're dominated by hip hop, god awful modern pop country, and mediocre pop music. That's pretty much and just that's it. I mean that's basically. I mean, rock and roll in this country has largely died in the mainstream. I mean, there's still a huge underground scene and just right outside. But as far as what's quote mainstream and people know, it's basically stick a cork in it.
I would say it's in some way here it's same. It's not the same as it was like 10 years ago, and of course, hip hop is now so much bigger than it was 20 years ago. It's surprising, and also kind of music that is called hip hop. At least I don't hear sometimes hip hop there. It's more like, how would I say? People are standing and kind of rapping and kind of singing.
I don't know. Maybe we're just angry old men yelling at clouds. It's sometimes. You kill the damn music.
But at the same time, when Metallica comes here, last time there was when Metallica had peaked, there was 55,000 people in one concert.
Nice.
And when you compare it, that in Finland is 5 million people.
That's a heck of a turnout. Around here, I went to an Iron Maiden concert. When was it? Was it 2018 or 2019? I don't remember. I recently went to a Maiden concert, and we had, I think, close to 20,000 people there. But the area I'm in, this part of the country, because obviously they didn't only come here, they went to a bunch of cities around here. We had 20,000 people roughly at the concert, and this area where I live is about 2 million people roughly. This metropolitan area that I'm in, so gives you an idea maybe. So I mean, yeah, there's lots of fans of that type of music here as well. It's just not that type of music just isn't promoted, you know.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, I think when Iron Maiden was last time when I saw them, there was 35,000.
That's a good amount. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But hey, what do you have next?
What I have next, since we're going around the world, eventually I'm going to get to the U.S. With the last two I'm going to show are going to be the U.S., but I thought I'd at least come back to this hemisphere over here on this side of the world and show off my favorite Sepultura album.
Oh.
You know, they are... I'm not so hot on their new stuff with the guy who's not Max. I don't even know his name, the current... You know, like... I think it's Derek Green or something like. I could be completely wrong. Yeah. I mean it's all right, but I without the Cavaleras, it's kind of like, what's the point?
I've been thinking that same a lot, many years. It has been stuck so deep into me that there is only Sepultura with Max Cavalera, but. Actually, I got VCLT from Clark Vision she has a vinyl comedy channel, and she sent me package with AC/DC, and there was also Sepultura's album without Max Cavalera, and I was like surprised. Oh, it's like I gave it like chance, and I was surprised that I liked it.
Well, that's good. I mean,
But
it's
of
almost
course,
like you got to think of them as two different bands, though, right? I
yes,
mean,
that's right.
and you can almost say that transition point was Roots, because
Mm,
Roots is an extremely divisive record, to put it mildly, right?
mm,
That's I'm on the. Honestly, I don't even know how I feel about that record. I mean, I have it, but it's so odd
mm.
for them. You know, it's
Maybe that is the reason I like it.
it's you. I don't know how I feel about it. There are days that I really like it, and then there are
Mm.
days where I'm like, this is total BS. I'm so on the fence about that one. It's not even funny. I mean, what's funny is I've had an easier time accepting Load than I have Roots.
Okay. But Load also has its moments.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
Bleeding Me is an absolutely brilliant
Yeah.
song. I love that song. It's a very non-metal song when they're released, but it's an absolutely fantastic piece. I mean, the melody
Yeah.
in there, it's just whatever they did with that songwriting for that one is just and probably my other favorite song from that one is Outlaw Torn. Those are probably my two.
I still remember the moment when my friend played Bleeding Me from his Walkman. And I got the headphones from him, and I listened from the Walkman. That and not CD Walkman, but
The tape, yeah.
tape. That was the time.
I actually back then I was Metallica was my absolute favorite band, bar none. I mean, they were like the whole world to me back then almost. I mean, obviously I was listening to a lot of other bands by that point, but they were still always my favorite one because they were the first metal band I ever really got into, yada yada. And I heard Load before it came out because they actually played it on the radio station here, the local rock radio station. They played the thing. I actually taped it off of the radio, and I listened to it several times, and I liked it. And then I actually bought the CD when it came out, and I initially I think I talked myself into liking it way more than I think I was ready to like it, right? And then a year or two later, for some reason, I had like this severe mental backlash against that record. I was like, I hate this. This is garbage. I want to get rid of it. I hated that and Reload. I was like, get these out of here. I had them both on CD. I gave those records away to the brother of the girl I was dating at the time. I was like, here, you can have these. And he's like, that, I was like, whatever. And I didn't listen to Load for, oh God, how many years after that? Probably at least 5 or 10 years, maybe. And I just wouldn't give it a chance for a long, long time. And then eventually I listened to it again. And then I realized, hey, I actually like this. It was this whole back and forth on it. And now...
in the middle of the time, you just got older.
Exactly. That's all it was.
And was ready to listen to country music from Metallica.
Yeah, I went from being a teenager to somebody in their, I don't know, maybe mid-20s or so. So, yeah, you definitely go through a lot of you mature a lot in those at least you hope you would mature a lot in those intervening years. Some people never do. it's always funny to me when I see somebody who's older than me. I'm not exactly young. I'm 41. When I see somebody who's clearly like in their 50s or 60s and they're in public and they're acting in some like incredibly outrageous way, right? Like they're screaming at the top of their lungs about something stupid, or just like they don't, like, these people clearly don't know how to behave. And I just think to myself, what's wrong with that person? Like, how can you get to that point in life and be so crazy, for lack of a better term? That's just something I've always wondered.
Maybe they have listened too many times Metallica's Lulu.
Yeah, I think listening to that on repeat would probably drive anyone insane.
But I have Metallica's Reload CD 2 times in my collection, because I bought it first. I bought it from flea market, and I found it quite cheap. And then I came home and I realized this is copy. Like, this is pirate copy. And then I found later the real one. But now I have to. But now I'm going to show something that I'm pretty sure that you haven't ever listened.
All right.
And it's this kind of stuff. This is Joo se keskitalo, and album name is Kaupungit puristuvat puristimissa.
Yep, you're right. That's completely over my head. So,
but you can repeat Kaupungit puristuvat puristimissa.
Nope. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try.
But don't worry, he has made also album in English. But
I'm sure, yeah.
Not a name. His name is H.C. Slim, and that is fun because what would you guess? Hey, H.C. stands for?
H.C. you said, right?
Yeah, and Slim.
H.C. Slim. Helsinki?
I'm pretty sure that the record company came to say that you're not allowed to use that kind of words. It stands for Holocaust Slim.
Oh, okay. Never.
That was his artist, kind of tried to be his artist name. I'm not saying where I found it. I'm saying it later on my video. But yeah, he's like, how would I say, lo-fi folk music.
I would have guessed. I mean, just judging from the album cover without hearing it, I would have guessed he was a fairly artistic-looking guy. I mean, so it's not shocking. You know, I would have figured like, yeah, folk music. I can definitely see with just the presentation.
His first album was recorded by using phones, not like new phone, but old phones microphone.
Oh, okay.
And that's other really cool stuff. But I like his, like somebody said, like, I think so, that he or she doesn't like that sheep sound he's making when he's singing. And sometimes his lyrics can be really grotesque. So that kind of stuff.
That's always that stuff that can throw you through a loop. I should have ground. Everything I have is, of course, just a stack of metal. I should grab. hold on 1 second. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna grab some non-metal I've been listening to lately. Hold on. Just keep everyone entertained.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can mention also about Joo se keskitalo, this guy, that he's been singing also in Paavo Harju, PAA and it's like kind of atmospheric sounds, and it's kind of weird. And it's fun how they got records connection to record company. They they were playing in Finland, and there was playing also some American band. And American band came to visit them, Paavo Harju group, and their place where they were living, and they hang around that night with them, and then the American band went back to America, and there they met a Finnish guy who was touring with this American band who visited in Finland, and the American played to this Finnish guy that, hey, in Finland is this kind of band, and you should release his album. And then it was released, and they got gigs also outside of Finland. That's quite amazing story, at least for my ears.
I'm trying to get comfortable.
And Jesse Korhonen say, nice, Joosi Keskitalo album. My friend got me that album on vinyl too. It's really nice. I've been thinking that because this didn't work on some of my players, it has a small scratch, so I was thinking should I buy it also on vinyl, but today I played it and it worked well. Another thing that I was thinking when should I buy it on vinyl or not, because if it's just ripped from this CD, yeah.
Have you tried, speaking of, I heard you say it was scratched up and wasn't playing. Have you tried the like soup and toothpaste method of repairing the CD?
No.
I said soup. I meant soap. Jeez, soap, not soup. Soup. Yeah, dump it in your soup. No. Soap and toothpaste. Jeez, oh Pete. Yeah, I haven't. I found over the years that if I got a CD that's giving me issues, sometimes just cleaning it with soap works. If that doesn't work, then just a thin layer of like regular toothpaste. It's got to be like the green toothpaste with some grit in it for it to work. That can work. I've done that before, and that has worked wonders on some CDs I've had. So just throwing that in there, and it's a tip for anyone.
I told a story about band that he's been singing also, but you can see it later. But all right. You have now something to show.
I got all kinds of stuff. So let's see. I'm going to show something that's extremely stereotypical, but I think it, despite how common this is, and I still think it's a total sonic journey, for lack of a better term. And of course, it's this one here, The Wall. You listen to this, and it's just, I think there's a reason so many drug addicts like this one, right? Because it just takes you just to all of these different places. The variety on this and just what it has is incredible, you know. It's one of my favorite albums of ever, really, you know, and I think it still holds up. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but and you know, for a 1970 whatever recording, it's fabulous, you know. There. That's
reason I started to like that band, and that album was the movie The Wall.
Yeah.
Because I saw first the movie, and it was, at least back then, it was incredible. I don't know how it would look if I would watch it now. Would it be as good as it was back then?
You know, it's funny you bring that up because nothing's ever like the first time you see it, right?
Yeah.
And like as far as like what you end up really liking and what really influences you, I think a lot of it just depends on how old you are when you experience it for the first time. Like let's say I was an 11-year-old kid now, right? You know, because back in '89, that's when I walked into a flea market and saw Master of Puppets, and that was it for me, right? Let's say I was 11 years old now in 2020, right? Instead of 1989. I walk into a flea market now and I see Master of Puppets. Am I going to be intrigued like I was when back then? Yeah, it's one of those. It's funny how like what we get into, how tied to time and place it is. You know, I have no idea. Like if I was growing up in today's world versus back in the Paleolithic age when we were coming up. Who even knows what the how my personality would be shaped and all that garbage. I mean, because when we were kids, we certainly never went months without school because of a pandemic. That never happened.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay. Sometimes these names can be hard to me, like elegant. Eggnog.
Yeah, elegant eggnog. That's a good one. I love that screen name. Elegant eggnog. That's a good one.
Pinkford is one of the few bands I read first. New bands, few bands I bought everything they made. I understand that. I've been thinking that I would love to buy The Wall because I like that album. And especially some of the songs, and it would be great to have.
Yeah, I found this at a local chain. Well, not local. Is it nationwide? I don't know. It's at least regional. It's called Half Price Books. They sell lots of media. They sell obviously primarily books, hence their name, but they sell CDs and Blu-ray and DVD and video games and So
I hear that name so many times on Vinyl Comedy, and I started. I want to be there too.
I've had a lot of great finds there over the years, and their prices are reasonable. I mean, they're not. I think I paid, I don't know, maybe $6-7 for this, and as you can tell, I mean. It's complete. It's in good condition.
Yeah.
I mean, we just, I can see a little bit of a scratch on the camera there, but I mean, it plays fine. It doesn't skip or anything, so I don't know.
Okay, now I will take two at the same time.
All right, go for it.
This is something that you haven't seen. It's Viikate, Finnish metal band that has they have been influenced, like, of course, Motorhead and Death and all those classic stuff, Entombed, Entombed, but also really strongly Finnish Schlager music and Shadows kind of guitars. In Finland, there is music style or genre called rautalanka, and you can hear rautalanka guitar here, and that's kind of Shadows and that category. Beat music. Is it beat music? But this is incredible, great band. If you anytime have time, you should.
And they're called. They are. Hold on. I'm gonna open another tab up, and I'm just gonna put them in and listen to them later. Is it the Viikate?
Yeah.
Is that the name of the band? I'm like. Okay, I'll listen to them later.
Yeah. On this album, they have also Ensimmäinen runo, and that's a cover song of Amorphy. And that's great band. I love.
Oh, hold on, I gotta mute myself for a second here.
Yeah. And now I'm alone again. But I can take something that I have listened. Oh, I thought I have to mention also from Finnish. But I have listened also. Let's take this Eternal Tears of Sorrow, and it's a Finnish death metal band, and it's because it's Finnish, it's really melodic, and it's death metal. It has clean vocals, it has growlings, and it's also atmospheric, and it really like epic songs also, powerful songs.
You know the fun of live, right? You never know when something's gonna happen. I said the fun of being live with the phone ringing.
Oh yeah.
It's a little different than your normal video where you're like record, you know.
Yeah.
That's how you guys know this is live. It would be.
No, it's just faking.
Oh man.
Another thing that if this haven't been live, this would have ended already.
Exactly. Because we're kind of just that road to nowhere. We're really on it.
Yeah.
So I guess
like I said on trailer, Road to Nowhere or something like that.
we're delivering on the promise here.
Yeah.
Another couple things I will show off. This one I listened to just for laughs.
I had that on MP3, like when it was released.
Yeah. I bought this back when it came out, and it's hilarious. Obviously, lots of really funny stuff in it, and then of course another soundtrack that I really like to listen to.
Canada.
Yeah, that's probably the best known. And there's another one that I can't say because I have a 9-year-old sitting next to me, Uncle something. We'll just say that. But yeah, I have the other one I really like to listen to is just Star Wars music. I really love like the orchestral sci-fi music. It's a lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what it does. I mean, the soundtracks, John Williams, I mean, what he produced for all those movies is just incredible stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And I have listened. I don't have it by myself, but I have listened or like streamed this what it was latest Planet of the Apes movie. I don't remember.
God, what was it? Was it War for the Planet? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was the newest one. Yeah, I've seen them all. I just can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I went to see it on movie, and I have listened it. Most of the time that I have been listened, I have been went to bed and just put that to play and get to sleep. Good sleeping music.
Speaking of sleeping music, I'm going to show you something that most people won't fall asleep to, but I can. Amon Amarth, Deceiver of the Gods. I've been listening to this at night on my iPod. Because I'll often, when I try to go to bed, I'll try to lay down and listen to some music. And I've been listening to this, and it's just Amon Amarth's one of my favorite bands, and this is a great album by them. What's funny is I can actually use one of these tracks to evaluate audio gear, right? Like how good or bad a thing is. The one I use is Father of the Wolf. And
Okay.
and what I can and what I use to evaluate the gear are the hi-hats on the drums, right? Like it's the only track, because I did this years ago when I was trying to tell the difference. I know this is nerdy audio stuff, but it qualifies. I was trying to tell the difference between different bit rates of MP3, right? Like 128 kilobit, 160, 190, blah, 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 right? And what was interesting is that was the only track where I could differentiate any, like between the higher bit rates, right? Like it's like the hi-hats on the drums didn't quite sound right. On the lower. So I just thought that was interesting. It's just a little note. And so like if I really want to evaluate how good I think something is, I'll listen to that, and that'll be kind of, because if it sounds good on that, or if that track sounds good and it sounds right, then I know it's good, for lack of a better term. So.
I use, for that reason, when I want to hear some new headphones or speakers, I usually listen to some metal music that is produced well, and some progressive stuff. But the one song that I always listen is Madonna, 4 Minutes. You know,
What?
Madonna.
Madonna?
Madonna.
Don't know that. I might have.
I write it. You know that.
Okay. Yeah, just go ahead and write it in the chat.
I wrote it.
I don't see it. Oh, you might be. Oh, you must be in your. Oh, Madonna. Oh, Madonna.
Madonna, yeah.
Madonna. Yeah. Yes. I know Madonna. Like a Virgin, etc. Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, which one of her songs did you say you always listen to for Madonna?
4 minutes. It's from Hard Candy.
Oh, okay.
Maybe some people say that it wasn't anymore as well produced as like some of her other stuff. But one thing is that my friend who likes like progressive metal and Iron Maiden and or classic stuff, he got new speakers, and I said, commented to him that has he now listened to progressive rock, and have you listened also already Madonna? I say Madonna.
Yeah.
4 minutes, and afterwards he said that I never would have listened that song. But
yeah.
But actually, that was really good song to test my speakers.
That's a good one. I never would have thought of that in a million years. My wife is a Madonna fan.
Yeah.
She's got several of her albums. I don't really ever listen to them myself. I don't pull them out, but she's got several Madonna albums. So, but yeah, I mean, it's good to have variety. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's just for me. What's the reason? I don't know how the type of music that I like has had such a hold over me over the years, right? Like, because obviously I listen to other stuff. I've shown off some other things just in this, but I don't know. There's just something about it that is different from other forms of music. I don't know exactly. It's like that X factor. I can't explain it. That just hooks me like no other form of music can. I mean, I like other stuff, but there's just something about it that stands apart. I don't know what it is. There's just something there. It's just that little magical thing. Maybe it's the influence of Satan. Who knows? But there's just this little magic piece that's there. I don't know.
One thing I like is Wolfheart.
Okay, yeah, Wolfheart. Okay.
Tuomas Saukkonen, he had first band called Before the Dawn, and that was doing death metal, but maybe not uh, as straight and powerful as this. It was more melodic, and some might say that it's girls metal. But this one is more stronger nowadays. Even some parts are going already to black metal. It's blast beat there, and also really melancholic stuff there. At the same time going, and when you hear his guitar sound and how the song goes, you know that it's his song. Uh, so Wolfheart is nowadays something I like to listen. And some other his project that isn't so is more atmospheric, more piano and that kind of stuff. Still same time as kind of death metal is my sauna music. This is also good sauna music, but more atmospheric is better sauna music.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I definitely like the atmospheric stuff. It adds different dimensions and layers to the music. I mean, don't get me wrong, straightforward, like Death or Morbid Angel or Deicide or whatever, all that stuff's a lot, or newer, in the newer stuff. That's all a lot of fun to listen to, but it is nice when you sprinkle in the other stuff outside of that as well. So a little bit more of non-metal. How I was talking about simpler music. This definitely qualifies. I really like, the Offspring. They're, obviously pop punk. Not hardcore in anyone's estimation, but I think they're a lot of fun to listen to. I don't take them remotely seriously or think of them as like, the be all and end all of anything, but sometimes just listening to kind of, for lack of a better term, music that's a little bit fluffy like that can be a nice change of pace.
I love that Smash album.
Yeah, it's great.
And Americana was okay also. Maybe they are my favorite Offspring albums. But Smash is really great. And interesting is that because Finnish company called Spine Farm Records, they had, before Offspring got big, they got license for that. It went something like this. They got license to sell Smash album in Finland and in Europe. And then it got really big. So then they got money and then they were able to do also own records like bands from Nightwish, Sonata Arctica. What could I mention more? They have released also some, I think Dragon Force maybe was also in some point released by Spine Farm Records. And of course many Finnish metal bands. It was in at least one point it was their record company.
Nice.
So thanks to Offspring, it was huge thing to Finnish metal.
Hey, whatever it takes. I mean, it's just interesting. That's the law of unintended consequences, right? I mean, nobody would have ever guessed that an American pop punk band would help lift up the Finnish metal scene. That is just what a connection, right? I mean, nobody would have ever guessed that.
Yeah, at least it is how I remember that.
Right. That's interesting.
I haven't prepared anything for, so
I mean, for me, I don't know. I couldn't tell you much about. I'm not well stepped in kind of label history and all that. I know very little about that kind of stuff. I mean, I know basically the only type of history I really know, and it just shows you because I learned everything that I know back in like the 80s and 90s, right? When I was totally obsessed with this stuff. And I know at one point I could have told you all of the cross-pollination of all the thrash bands, right? Because there's a scene that just band members to and fro to all these different bands. You'll see the same guy. Probably the best known example I can think of, this guy's been in maybe every band, is Gene Hoglan. He's drummed, I don't know how many different bands he's been in. But even now, like, it's funny because if you don't really think about this stuff, you start to forget a lot of it. Like, a lot of the knowledge I used to have about this kind of stuff is just disappeared out of my brain for sure.
You have to read some press biography.
Yeah, I used to know all this stuff, and it's just, I mean, I'm still familiar with all of the music. Like, you could put the music on, and I know what it is pretty much instantly. But it's just like, but as far as the band members and the history of the labels and the actual scene and how all that progressed, I mean, I know the general outline of it, but all the specifics. And what's funny is I've watched the documentaries multiple times. Like, I've seen, Metal Evolution, the Headbangers Journey.
That's awesome.
I don't know how many times I've seen that. I've seen that maybe 4 or 5 times, probably. It's just, and I've read a couple of the books, but it's just, if you don't hold on to that knowledge, it can just disappear like in a puff of smoke. I don't know.
But you mentioned yesterday we were talking also without recording anything, and you mentioned Stratovarius.
Yeah, I know Stratovarius, absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, on this album that I mentioned before, here this idol singer, here is also at least 1 or 2 songs made by Timo Tolkki from Stratovarius.
Ah, cool.
But yeah, Timo Tolkki isn't playing anymore in Stratovarius and making those great songs. That's fun that there isn't anymore anyone who has been playing in the first record. Hey, Elegant.
He's
Eggnog, have you seen documentary Murder in the Front Row?
I've heard of it. I haven't caught it yet. I'm sure I can probably. It's probably not on Netflix, but let's be honest, I can torrent it at some point. Just need to make a note to make sure I see that, because that is one I want to see. I've heard it's great. I know they've got all of the Bay Area guys in it.
Oh, it's thrash metal documentary.
And I think I'm sure they probably got the East Coast guys too, like Overkill and Anthrax. I'm sure they got everybody in it. So
I have to say that I haven't heard about.
Yeah, I've heard. It just came out less than a month ago. It came out on April 24th, so it's new.
But I was going to tell us that if you like that old Stratovarius, I don't know which part of Stratovarius you like.
I'll tell you hold on, let me just scroll through their albums here, because again, that's part of the problem with the modern age is we have access to everything. So, focusing on a single kind of. Oh, I'm just trying. Okay, probably my favorite Stratovarius album is Fourth Dimension, and it was one of. I just couldn't.
Oh,
So I was just
yeah.
trying. I was just trying to remember. I'm like, which one is it? It's sad, but it's just that's how it is now. Like, because I don't know how many songs are in my music. Oh God, I don't even know. How many songs are in my collection? I'm just for. Oh geez, I'm up 27,000 tracks. No wonder. That's the internet for you, though. I mean, anything you want to have access to, you can. So that explains why I have to scroll through my list of bands and like look at the album covers sometimes just to remember what my favorite album by a band is.
Yeah, I know the feeling. But the Stratovarius Timo Tolkki, the main guitarist, main songwriter, isn't there anymore. To me, it's Stratovarius playing Stratovarius cover band nowadays. But there is a band called Frozen Land, and it's Finnish band, but it has an Italian singer. I don't remember anymore the name of the singer. But it was. I haven't seen them live. I don't know. Do they have any live gigs so often? Even. Yeah, Tony Meloni singer. Yeah, but this is awesome.
Nice.
It sounds really like old, like Stratovarius sounded in 96. 99, somewhere there. I guess Fourth Dimension might be from 94.
Okay.
Am I right?
Well, we're looking about for 94. Hold on, let me scroll back to where I was.
95. What?
Yeah, Fourth Dimension was 95. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dream Space. The one right before that was Dream Space 94.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of stuff. You still have something.
Nice. I'm just going to show off two more albums because I have to show off something from the U.S. So, well, I did show Offspring. But of course, this classic gem here, which was the first I would say this is definitely the first controversial Metallica album, right? And this, of course, is the Black Album. I was 13 years old when this came out, and I had only been listening to Metallica for 2 years at that point. So they were still new for me, right? And back then, we didn't have the internet, right? So me being a 13-year-old kid, I wasn't exactly plugged in with a whole lot of other metalheads. With 13-year-old kid in the Midwest. I wasn't plugged in with all the other metal kids, so I just knew that I really liked this album when I first heard it back in '91. The friends that I had that were into it, I didn't hear any negativity about this. I didn't even know this was a controversial album in Metallica's lore until I got on the internet later on, because when Load came out, I was fully aware, because by then it was 96. So when that came out, right away, I knew that there were a lot of people that hated it. That was an instant, I knew it was a polarizing thing. But back in 91, I had no idea that was remotely considered a polarizing album. I just was like, hey, new album, it's great, and that's pretty much it. And the other US-based thing I'll show off is very slight. It's still old, but System of a Down's Toxicity. They're lumped in with new metal, but they don't sound anything like new metal to me. I don't even know how I would classify System of a Down, really. They're just very eccentric slash varied band. I don't know. That's pretty much all I've got to show. I've
And
so
I guess a new System of Down's genre could be also odd, just odd, weird,
yeah.
because
But they were. I thought
they
you
were
know.
putting so different kind of things together, and that made it good.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard them was actually on whatever the reincarnation of Headbangers Ball was. Because it went away and then they brought it back, and it was actually I was watching on when they brought it back, and it was a live video for the song War from their first album. And I remember hearing it, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. Because I had, it was so different from what everyone else was doing back then. It was just so over the top and crazy. And I bought their first album, their self-titled debut. And I was like, wow, this is absolutely great. And I was an instant fan of the band. It's too bad, I guess, what happened. I guess all the egos maybe got inflated or something with them, and as they so often do with rock stars. And they,
if I remember right, I just really read that singer is going to do a solo record now.
He's done several of them actually, and they're pretty good.
He's doing some EP, and he said that some of the song was planned to be on next System of Down album.
Yeah. I don't think they're ever going to make another album again. I mean, they're at the point, another good example of a band that didn't make an album forever was Tool. I thought I was like, are they ever going to make an album ever? And then they finally did, and then they limited it in such. I bet a lot of Tool fans don't even own that album because because everything they released was the super deluxe, super limited physical release of it. It cost it was like $50 or something because it had the I had the LCD screen in it, and it played all these videos and shit. It was like I know it was crazy expensive, and it was just I don't know what happened there. It was like I don't own their newest one just because they never put out like a standard CD that like most people could afford and like mass produced it. That just never happened. So whatever.
But I was surprised that when Black Sabbath released 13 with Ozzy, I was surprised that I thought I wouldn't hear anymore ever some Black Sabbath stuff with Ozzy.
Yeah, 13 was quite the shock.
Yeah. Chili Beck says, hey guys, you didn't realize you're on live. Yes.
Yeah.
We're live and we leave.
Yeah, we're right here. But it's interesting, like, and when bands break up for a long time, right? I'm always very skeptical of their new albums, right? Like, I'm like, do I even want them to do something else now? Like, they haven't put out something in 15 years. Do I want them to do anything else, or will whatever they do be terrible? I think probably the best comeback album ever that I can think of is Carcass's Surgical Steel. That was that I didn't expect that to be that good. That was kind of a shock. And At the Gates, At War with Reality. That's another example of a good one too. I mean, I didn't expect At War with Reality to be that good, because there was almost 30 years between Slaughter of the Soul.
But wasn't there also quite a long time between Carcass records. Also,
Yeah.
have you listened to Carcass?
Oh yeah. There was a
Okay.
forever between Swan Song. Like I was saying, Carcass. I said Surgical
Yeah.
Steel. There was
Oh,
how
you
much
said that.
time?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
don't
I
know
didn't.
how
Yeah.
much time. I'm gonna look. I'm scrolling through my list because
Mm.
again, hold on. Because they put out when Surgical Steel came out in 2013. Okay, yeah, it was not okay. Swan Song that a lot of people hate. I don't hate it.
I like
A
it.
lot.
I
I
like it.
like Swan Song myself, but a lot of
Mm.
people hate it. That came out in I don't think that I
94.
don't. Yeah, so, yeah, it's wrong. It's tagged wrong in my library because this is probably like a remaster or something. Yeah,
Mm.
something like that. And Surgical Steel came out in 2013, so that's quite a gap, for
Mm.
sure. But yeah, nobody would have. I mean, nobody expected these really great albums. Like you just thought,
But
oh, that band's done, and then they come roaring back with some
yeah.
incredible album.
But do you know Hanoi Rocks?
I know Hanoi Rocks. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with them, but
Mm.
I'm aware of them.
But but their career ended because of the car accident because of motor Mötley Crue's singer Vincent Nails was driving like crazy in drunken, and the drummer died, and their career ended. Not just maybe just not just because of that, but it happened like uh, was it in '85, somewhere there,
Okay.
and then they came back with a guitarist and singer Hanoi Rocks in somewhere 2000,
Oh wow.
and they made record again with the guitar, and I think they had some really good stuff also when they did it again. But sadly, I think it didn't get enough like people to listen it. When you
Yeah.
think it, when how important it has been to this so-called hair metal and that kind of stuff, it didn't reach that audience.
No. Yeah, you're right. Because it's just they just had that gap when that kind of music was blowing up, and then by the time they came
Mhm.
back, nobody was paying attention to that type of music anymore. So, I mean, the only type of like band that's like that people even pay attention to now, of course, are Steel Panther, and
And that,
obviously they're a joke band. Clearly, that's
but they still,
their whole point is to be funny.
but
And
they still play really well.
oh god, yeah, I love Steel Panther.
Yeah.
I think they're great. Um, I absolutely like them.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, but they are, and my favorite thing about them, my favorite thing about Steel Panther is all of the not just their songs, but like every interview they do, they stay in character 100% of the time. Like they never break it, man. Because they're obviously playing characters, and they don't
Yeah.
they hold it. I mean, they are so good at holding on to their characters that you're just it's
But
amazing. It's absolutely
but
amazing.
but I have to now when you jump from Hanoi Rocks to that, I have to say that one thing is with Hanoi Rocks, they stick in their characters also because they are really that's what they are.
Right, exactly.
So it, those who knows just even little bit Hanoi Rocks and those especially those singer and guitarist, what kind of characters they are. I know that singer was playing with Foo Fighters here in Finland. Hanoi Rock singer Michael Monroe was on stage with Foo Fighters, and Dave said uh, something like this: that when I come into room, everyone asks who asked room service. to clean this room. But when Michael Monroe comes through, everyone knows there's a rock star.
I love it. That's a good one.
And,
Oh
yeah,
man.
and he totally looks like he's a. I would love to see him doing like snow work at the winter time with all the costume that he's every time everywhere.
Nice. So hey, I gotta actually jump off this thing. I got some stuff coming up, so I've
Yeah,
gotta go. So if you want to keep running, you can, but I gotta jump up. So I want to, but before I go, I want to say to everyone who's watched this, who's been in and out, thanks so much for stopping by. We both really appreciate it, and we hope to see you guys again soon. So, Mr. Finglish, I'll leave you. You know, as always, live long and prosper, and keep on rocking. I'll see you next time,
and
bud.
I had Black Album also.
Awesome. Virgin Steel, gotta love them.
Yeah.
I'll see ya.
See you later, and
All right,
thanks
bye.
to you. And we stop now. Bye bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone, and thanks for watching this. If you watch this till end, thanks for being here. And oops, and thanks for all comments that you gave us. They were also nice, and maybe in someday we'll doing something like this together also. Let's see. At least with someone we have already planned to do something. Let's see what will happen. And this got quite long this time, but maybe it's not as long next time. And Chilibeck, if you're still watching, thanks for commenting also for you. And same with everyone else with Jesse Korhonen and Elegant Eggnog. And now in Finland, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I still have one VOD to watch. So, bye bye.